Looking for trusted vehicle protection? American Guardian Warranty Services has you covered. Since 1998, we've delivered top-tier coverage, award-winning support, and industry-leading training to keep your business moving forward. Every way forward.
Welcome to this weekend drive edition of Daily Drive for the second week in July 2025. I'm Automotive News staff reporter Larry Vellequette in Metro Detroit, in for Jamie Butters.
And I'm Kellen Walker in Las Vegas. We're breaking down some of the biggest stories in the auto industry from the past week and looking forward to what's in store in the days ahead. Today on the show, we'll talk about how Toyota's Kentucky plant could be close to reaching a dream for the auto industry: on-demand production. That's coming up in a few minutes, but first, Larry, how are you doing?
Doing great, Cal.
Yes, sir. Let's get into some news. So, President Trump wants 50% tariffs on copper imports. Now, Larry, don't we already have plenty of copper here in the U.S.? And what do we use all this copper for?
So, we have about 47 million tons of copper reserves in the U.S. We have about 5% of the world's copper reserves. And we use copper all the time and are using more of it because of electronics and in the auto industry for things like very, very important wire harnesses, which if you've ever had to have one replaced, it's like going to a doctor and saying, hey, I need to replace my central nervous system. Can you do that on the weekend? No, we can't do that. It's not easy. But we have large reserves, but now we're going to add this tariff. And frankly, with the tariff, what'll be interesting, we'll probably still continue to see, it's not going to shift that production back to the U.S., because copper mining and copper production is still really, really toxic. And it's not what you want in your backyard. So even with the tariff, it'll probably just get absorbed and the costs will go up.
Gotcha. And Foxconn is reportedly in talks with Nissan to build EVs. Now, as you know, Foxconn is known for assembling Apple products. How big of a shift would this be in Japan's manufacturing landscape? And will this accelerate Foxconn's entry into the automotive industry?
Well, let's talk in terms of Japan. So this report came out of Japan, out of Nikkei. And what you're seeing in Japan is a reshuffling a little bit, but they are trying to protect manufacturing jobs. And Nissan is, as we all know, is in a kind of a world of hurt right now. They're looking at some major restructuring. If Foxconn comes in, it may save that a plant in Japan, but I'll believe it when I see it. Right now, it's a report. We'll see if it actually comes to fruition. We're talking about a very complex thing in terms of Foxconn entering the vehicle market. It has a desire, certainly. It's shown vehicles, but you and I are old enough to go back a few years. Remember when Apple was going to build a car?
Yes.
Yeah, that didn't happen. Remember when Google was going to build a car?
I see where you're going with this.
That didn't happen, right? If you go back, I don't know, 60, 70 years, right? There's a great story about the guy who actually bought Jeep for a while, actually owned Jeep in the 60s, Kaiser Manufacturing. He came to Detroit. He said, I have this large sum of money. I want to build cars. How do I do that? And they said, give us the large sum of money and you'll try to build cars and you'll lose it all. Right. It's an expensive, capital intensive manufacturing process with relatively low returns. Right. If you look at the returns that Foxconn gets on, products like the iPhone, right?
Right.
There's some profit built into those. The return rate in terms of capital for automotive is much less. Is it a wise use of funds? That's up to them, for them to decide. But like I said, I'll believe it when I see it.
Good point. And finally, despite the big inventories, dealers aren't panicking over the end of EV tax credits. Now, Larry, 140,000 vehicles are a lot of cars sitting on lots. And I mean, it's July. It's almost mid-July. And soon we'll start seeing 2026s, if not already, landing on dealer lots. Do you think dealers really believe they'll be able to move most of these EVs?
Well, I tell you what, if dealers aren't panicking, dealers should be panicking. Because right now we have at current rates, if you guys reported yesterday, you saw the rates for EVs slowing even more, right? EV sales as a percentage. Right now, we have more than 100 days of supply of EVs at current rates, at current sell rates. That takes us into mid-October, which is maybe 3 weeks past when these subsidies are going to end. Now, if you can't sell a car on Saturday with a $7,500 subsidy that helps your customer with their down payment or greatly reduces their lease rate on an EV, if you can't do that on Saturday, and now you're going to come on Monday without that $7,500 bonus to try and get that sale, what's going to happen to that vehicle? It's going to sit there, right? Until you find somebody, or have to lower the price until you find somebody to buy it. So I think dealers ought to be panicking. And I know that automakers right now are trying to come up with programs to get those vehicles moved off and get them so that they're not sitting on dealer lots. Or we're going to end up, selling them onesie twosies to rental companies or selling them off at a fire sale to try and get them off the lot. Otherwise, they're going to be paying, 6.5% floor plan on them for the foreseeable future.
Gotcha. Good stuff, Larry. Coming up, we'll talk about Toyota's K-Flex project in Georgetown, Kentucky, and why it could be close to a holy grail of sorts for the auto industry. That's next on Weekend Drive.
Daily Drive listeners like you have access to the lowest price for Automotive News Congress 2025 on September 11th.
The event is where the industry's biggest players tackle its toughest challenges. Congress attendees don't just follow the industry, they lead it.
This year's featured speakers include Hyundai Motor Group Executive Chair Yusin Chung and General Motors CEO Mary Barra.
We are investing in America. We're creating jobs. That's creating IP in this country. And I think, the United States needs to lead in key technologies.
Join us to gain the insights and connections needed to steer your business through massive change.
To get the lowest price for the event, go to autonews.com/events, select Auto News Congress, and type in the discount code Daily Drive, one word, all caps. We'll see you in September in Detroit.
When it comes to vehicle protection, American Guardian Warranty Services has you covered. Since 1998, AGWS has been a trusted leader in F&I solutions, offering top-tier protection plans for autos, RVs, power sports, marine, and more, all backed by A-rated insurance carriers for reliable coverage you can count on. But we don't just offer protection. We deliver results. With award-winning marketing materials, expert dealer training through AGWS University, and exceptional customer service, we are committed to helping your business grow while keeping your customers protected. Join thousands of satisfied dealers and agents who trust AGWS for comprehensive coverage and unmatched support. Visit agws.com or call 800-579-2233 today to keep your business moving forward. Every way forward.
Welcome back to Weekend Drive. I'm Kellen Walker with Larry Vellequette. Larry, you did a plant visit last month to Georgetown, and it looked pretty special. Tell me about it.
So, yeah, Kel, I was actually on the way back to Michigan from Nashville, where I was visiting some family and also attending the funeral of our longtime colleague, Lindsay Chappell. And on the way back, I got a tour of Georgetown, Kentucky. Was Toyota's first assembly plant here in the U.S. Recently, over the last 4 years, they've ripped out its oldest line, the original line that was there, and they put in this project called they call K-Flex. It was a $461 million project that they have been working on, putting together in their heads for 10 years. And what they have achieved is really, really cool. I was blown away. I didn't know whether or not I would ever see the plant of the future, right, that everybody's been talking about for 20 years in my lifetime. After watching this, after looking at this and taking this tour with Stephen Brennan, who's the brilliant Irish engineer that came up with all this for Toyota, I think I've seen it. And what's really cool about it is what makes it special is what it can build simultaneously, right? Toyota uses a platform system, which is, a bunch of different vehicles of different sizes that share a platform. So they all share what are called principal loading points, which is how the vehicle gets carried through an assembly plant. And as long as those principal loading points are the same, you could theoretically build, different vehicles on the same line. And it makes the parts swapping easier between vehicles, et cetera, lowers your costs. But you always had limitations within the plants, how you did that, because of the carriers, because of how the body is carried through the plant and how the drivetrain is carried and how it's mated, et cetera. Most plants, 95% of plants, the vehicles run nose to butt, right? They run down the lines, nose to tailgate, let's say, right? Down the line.
Right.
They figured out, okay, if we turn it 90 degrees, they will turn it. It's called bias chassis. We turn it 90 degrees. So now they run door to door, sideways.
Mm-hmm.
Now you don't have this, you have open space on each side of the line. So you don't really care how big the car is, right? As long as the loading points are still the same, you can carry it door to door right down the line. And you adjust these are mostly all front wheel drive vehicles or all wheel drive. So they're independent suspension front and rear. Now you can load all this stuff up and it doesn't matter how big the car is. What really blew me away are the robots. These robots in this plant are just amazing, right? If I'm on a line and I'm running out of floor carpeting, right? I'm loading carpeting into a Camry and I'm running out. I note on my screen that I'm getting low, and an autonomous robot leaves its little station, goes and picks me up a bunch of carpets, brings it over to my station and loads it up, and I never have to leave. And then that robot just takes off and goes back and delivers the next call for parts.
Okay, so Larry, let me get this straight. So you're telling me like this is a line that you could build a Tacoma on the same line as a Camry?
Not a Tacoma, but you could build a Grand Highlander.
Okay.
On the same line as a Camry. You could build a RAV4, which is about the same size as a Camry.
Right.
You could theoretically build a Corolla and a Grand Highlander.
And the powertrain doesn't matter. So like we could have gas going, a BEV going, all on the same line.
Yeah, and because of these robots, right? The way the robots work. So normally, if I'm making a Camry, right, which is what this line is making right now, because Toyota can't produce enough Camrys to meet demand.
Right.
So if I'm making a Camry, the powertrain comes up, the chassis is moving down the line, and the robot is this giant skillet, like car-sized skillet, that comes in, and it's got the engine in the front axles on one end of this thing, and on the back end, it's got the back axles, and it just slides in place, comes up, and it lifts them up, and then the workers under there, bolt them up. But instead of that Camry hybrid, I now have in the same run, I now have a EV, right? That doesn't have an engine, has a battery pack, still has the 4 axles.
Right.
Now that skillet comes in and lifts up the 2 battery pack, which is called a skateboard now, with the battery pack and the wheels all attached, and the motor, and just lifts it up, and the worker underneath bolts it the same way, and that moves on down the line just like the Camry did. It's the coolest thing I have. I've been touring plants for a long time, Cal. It's the coolest thing I've ever watched. And there's a video on autonews.com. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. It'll blow you away.
It's cool. At the same time, it sounds a little complex. And, automakers have normally tried to limit complexity in their assembly lines to cut down error rates and improve quality. But it seems like this is going exactly the other way.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is what makes it so, such a game changer, because this is now for Toyota, this is their new global benchmark, right? Other lines at Toyota, which is the world's largest automaker, other lines are now going to benchmark this line because of this level of flexibility it has. So how they deal with the added flexibility, you have to train your workforce to do these different jobs for different vehicles, right? Because there are some different jobs as you get, you add vehicles in. But all it becomes then with the robots that are doing the parts, that are delivering the parts, all it becomes is a matter of logistics. Okay, well, you line up the parts just like you line up the cars. So the right parts get delivered at the same time as the right car to that workstation. And because robots can handle so much complexity better than humans do,
right?
right? It works.
Larry, what advantage does this K-Flex operation give Toyota?
The reason that build on demand has always been a desire for the auto industry, right, is that if I build exactly what customers want or what my dealer orders, then I'm not building extras. I'm building what I need to sell to meet demand, and I'm not building one more. I'm would like to build one less, right? That holds down my incentives. I don't have to pay incentives if I'm only building what people are going to buy.
Right.
Because
That's a good
I'm not
point.
going to have, days supplies or, months of supplies on dealer lots. I'm still going to keep some, obviously, because dealers, customers still want a choice, but I'm not going to have these massive, or I'm not going to guess wrong at what I want. I'm not going to build 50,000 EVs and then have them go, oh, wait, customers have changed their mind. They don't want to buy EVs. Now what do I do? So the advantages of doing this they're fundamental to the way that this industry works right now.
Right.
And getting this right and changing the way that we have built from a push model, which is, okay, the automaker built this number of whatever Chevy Silverados, and now they're going out and, oh crap, there are not enough buyers for them. So I got to get enough buyers. I got to put a bunch of money on the hood. That's a push model. Now this is a pull model, right? This is the dealer saying, hey, I got somebody who wants a Camry. Give me a Camry. Okay. It'll be there. Or I just sold a RAV4. I need another one. Boop. I need a RAV4. Bang. It's there.
Larry, and I know you've been covering Toyota for a while, and I don't think anyone's ever given me a straight answer when I've asked this question. Why is Toyota always seem like they're like 5 steps ahead of everyone else? I mean, even like with EV adoption. Remember when everybody was like,
Everybody's
"Oh, we're
giving
going
them
like
all
Volvo,
kind
like
of grief, right?
yeah," they're like, "Oh, we're going all EV, blah blah blah," and Toyota's like, "Nah, we're not." And everyone's like, "They're crazy. Why is the number one automaker in the world not going all EV? That's what everyone else is doing." And it's like they like know, like they have this crystal ball. Like I feel like the executives of Toyota, correct me if I'm wrong, like all meet in like inner Earth and like have this like meeting of like, all right, like this is what we're gonna do. Like it's crazy because like they're always like 5 steps ahead of everyone else. And it's like one of those, let's say if I was running a brand, I would sit to myself every night. I would think up, be like, oh my God, like, why didn't I think of this?
Mm-hmm.
Why is Toyota like this? Like, why are they always 3-4 steps ahead of everyone else?
So there are two things that are key to this. And I've been covering them directly now since 2017, 2018. Been around this industry a lot longer than that, but so I know the reputation. So there's an old adage that in this industry that you never bet against Toyota, right? Because of that. The reason is because of two things. They live on a 100-year schedule, and other automakers operate quarter to quarter. So Toyota says, all right, where do I want to be in 100 years?
Long game.
That
makes sense.
Now,
Okay.
that also means that they move slower and more deliberately than other automakers, right?
Very calculated.
They didn't rush in to the EVs when, because all the other automakers saw what happened to Tesla stock and said, oh, we want to do that. We want our stock price to go up like Tesla's did. And Toyota said, nah, you know what? We'll be okay. We're going to play our game. We're going to play our game plan and do what we want. And the other thing that is their secret sauce is more than any other automaker out there. If you talk to dealers, they will tell you this. The franchise that they want is Toyota or Lexus. Right. Because they, more than any other automaker, listen to their dealers and say, oh, well, if that's going to hurt you, we're not going to do that. Right? Trust me. No other automaker does that. If you ever covered NADA once and listen,
I've been to a few.
You've been to a few.
I've been to a couple.
You come out of those dealer, the make meetings, right? And every other make meeting is, every once in a while it's whatever, we'll see you next year. The dealers don't have a good relationship with the automaker. That is not the case with Toyota or Lexus. these guys, it's kind of a throwaway term everywhere else, right? Everybody else says, our dealers are our partners. But the only place that actually believes that is Toyota and Lexus.
It's almost like an ego thing. It's like, we know better, so this is what we're gonna do, and you're gonna do it. And Toyota's like, well, no, like we're gonna listen to our people, because our people, our dealers, they have the ear to the street. They have the ear to the consumers, the people that are actually buying the cars. And so it's like, this is what people want. Let's give them what they want.
It goes back to that push and pull model. It's except written a different way. Most brands, it's the automaker pushing the products onto the dealers. With Toyota and Lexus, it's largely the dealers pulling the products. What do you want? Okay, this is what we'll give you.
And so lastly, Larry, is this going to spread? Do you think other companies will catch on to this idea and start doing this, or will this just solely be a Toyota thing, Toyota Lexus thing?
Well, I tell you what, if I ran a rival automaker, I know that Subaru has already toured the plant, right?
Right.
Now Subaru's their partner. I'm sure Mazda won't be far behind to come see this. But if I was another automaker, they still do public tours at Georgetown. I would go take that tour.
Yeah.
Because you're going to want to see this. You're going to want to look at it and look what they did and see if you can improve it. You know, it's not to say that you can't improve it, but what they've come up with is cool enough that I think it'll, might be a while, but it'll become the new norm, especially if we're in this era where maybe we're going to EVs, maybe we're not, maybe we're going to destroy the planet. Maybe we're not, who knows? We haven't really decided yet, whatever,
All right. Well, good stuff, Larry. If you want to check out Larry's article, just head over to autonews.com. It's a great read. And that is all for this weekend drive edition of Daily Drive. I'm Kellen Walker.
And I'm Larry Vellequette, in for Jamie Butters. Thanks to Automotive News executive producer Jake Neer for his help on today's podcast. You can get the latest news on manufacturing, tariffs, and everything happening in the auto industry at autonews.com.
We'd love to hear from you. Let us know what you think of the show and the topics we covered today. Send us an email at dailydrive@autonews.com or leave us a voicemail at 313-444-2774. If you enjoy the podcast, remember to like, leave a review, and subscribe so you never miss an episode.